When it comes to dogs, I consider petting a dog our way of paying the dog. And a lot of people, when the dog comes over, it will nudge at you, stick its nose underneath, it'll scratch at you, or what Max likes to do is kind of come and put his chin on your knee. Now, he's cute when he does it, but he's basically asking and telling us kind of what to do. Now, in Max's case, what he does is really more of an ask, but for dogs that are really like for your dogs, I'm guessing they are not very bashful about the other dogs that live here about asking for attention. If they jump up on us and we pet them or we pick them up, then we're telling them, yes, you can tell the human what to do, and when you tell the human what to do, they do it. If you don't have a lot of rules, and then the dogs can tell you what to do, lack of rules a lot of times makes the dogs think that we're equals. If we're equals, then listening to you becomes optional. But then if you combine that with the dog getting to tell you what to do, now the dog starts to see itself as having more authority as you. From your dogs, what I'm seeing is, and I've only had a very limited sample size of observation, but it seems like they're very exuberant. But the not having the rules and then letting them do that, because when I was watching you guys, they would just come and jump up or nudge you, and then you guys would pick them up automatically and start petting them. And so that kind of can actually, for dogs that are insecure, provide more stress, because now they feel like we're responsible for the humans. We have more authority than the humans, so we're responsible for them. So we have to be more reactive. When we see somebody coming by the house, we got to bark more. We hear a noise, we got to bark, because our humans are dumb. They don't follow any follower rules that dogs have. So just like if we have a baby, we are hyper vigilant. We don't let the baby play with scissors or near electrical outlets or near stairs, because they just don't know any better. And I think, in my opinion, a lot of dogs that don't have rules and structure and we don't act like a follower causes the same reaction in dogs. So that can create more anxiety, more stress, and more frustration. And all those things kind of combine and percolate. So what I do is when the dog tells me what to do, I give it a counter order. Sit. As soon as the dog sits, then I start petting it. But I don't say sit, 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 sit. If you keep on doing that, then the dog's like, no, I do it whenever I want to. So the consequences, if I tell you, if you want my attention, I tell you to sit and you don't sit, then I just go on about what I'm doing. I'm not going to engage with you. Now, I don't protest even if they whimper or cry, because that's, for dogs, from my experience, good attention from the human and bad attention are almost the same thing. So if it's whimpering and I'm chastising it, it's still getting my attention and keeping me from engaging with the other dogs. So tell it to sit, and then as soon as it sits, then you start petting it. Now, if you have two dogs jumping up, or one dog jumps up and another one's nearby, and you say sit, and the other dog that didn't jump up sat down, I would pet that dog and ignore the dog that's jumping up. So dogs learn by observation, and so if they see, well, every time somebody sits, they get petted, well, maybe I should start adopting that. That's a more subordinate body mechanic for dogs. And so that helps them kind of identify as being more of a follower, and it introduces the concept of you can't tell the human what to do. You can ask. Sometimes you'll get what you want, sometimes you don't. Now, if you do that consistently, what will happen is the dogs will come start sitting in front of you saying, look, I'm sitting. Shouldn't you be paying attention to me? And whenever possible, we should at least try to give them at least a little scratch. Otherwise, they're going to try to go back to what they were doing. If you get in the habit of doing this, you'll start doing it without even thinking about it. The dog comes over, I use a hand motion. Max is asleep, otherwise I'd have him over here. But I kind of raise if this is the dog's head, I just put my hand curled, mostly flat, with a treat in it or without, and just go over the dog's head. I try to keep it within an inch or two, and as the dog's head tracks up, their butt goes down, that puts them into a sit. As soon as I do that, I like to scratch under the chin. A dog that's proud about himself has his nose elevated, and this facilitates that. Now, if his butt is here, well, your dogs, I usually do with big dogs, where like the head is there, the butt's here, well, you can just scratch the butt. Your dogs, you don't have to reach that far around to get to under the dog's chin. But I want them to feel good about what we call desired behaviors. And so if you guys refrain from petting them unless they do something. So let's say you just want to pet the dog. It's not nudging you, but you want to pet it, and you tell it to sit, and then it sits, then you shower it with attention. That's the same part of the lesson. And so usually I recommend, when you have multiple people in the house, as you come up with a command word, I usually suggest paycheck. So if you hear paycheck, because we won't even realize it. The dog comes in, we'll be reading, and the dog comes in, you just start scratching the dog. You don't even think about it. So if your partner comes in and says paycheck, you just go, sit, sit. And then you could say, honey, I told the dog to sit before you came in the room. But if you say, I asked him to sit, and now you just got up, and I'm still petting him, well, then you're on the different page. And the dogs see that there's a little not Watusi. And so, and asking him to just sit again is another great opportunity to practice the exercise. If he's already sitting, ask him to lie down. If he's sitting here, ask him to come sit over here. So the dog just has to ask and get permission from you. Petting with a purpose, I think, is the easiest thing. And if it's a gift that I mean, it sounds corny, but I try to give my clients this gift, because if you get in the habit of doing it, you use the hand motion, you won't even think about it. And every time you do it, like we talked about off camera about feeding and adding structure to it, it helps the dog. It's like a little mini dog leadership capsule that you practice every time you pet your dogs. One little offshoot to this is something I normally wouldn't incorporate in this video, but because you guys are a little different than my normal clients, a lot of times if I pull out a treat, now I wouldn't do this with, well, you could do it with once you integrate Max as well, but I pull out one treat and then say, come. I think I did go over this the other night. So say come, and whoever comes and sits gets the treat. Whoever's second, third, fourth, or fifth doesn't get anything. So after a while, they start competing to be obedient. And then you have dogs that are doing on your page as opposed to everybody on their own page, and you're trying to put out little brush fires all over the place. So petting with a purpose, just putting a little effort into it. If you do it for about a week solid, you'll get in a habit, you won't even think about it. Now, if you pet your dog, you ask it to sit and pet it, and then after that you have a crappy day and you want to talk to your dog for an hour and continue to pet it, you continue. But you just have to start it out by making the dog change its state. That's petting with a purpose.